There is a moment, right before a war truly begins, when the whole world holds its breath. Not the politicians, not the generals, the people. The mother in Tehran pulling her kids closer to the radio. The oil trader in London watching his screen go blood red. The soldier at a US base in Qatar who just had his leave cancelled with no explanation given. That moment, we are living in it right now. Because what is unfolding between Iran and the West is not just a regional dispute. It is not just about missiles or uranium enrichment. It is about a collision that has been building for over 4 decades, and the spark that finally lit the fuse. And by the end of this video, you will understand exactly how we got here, who the real players are, and why what happens next could change everything. To understand this war, you have to go back to 1979. Iran was a US ally. Then, overnight, it wasn't. The Islamic Revolution toppled a Western-backed Shah and replaced him with an Ayatollah, who declared America the Great Satan. 44 years of sanctions followed, proxy wars, assassinations, nuclear deals made and shattered. Iran spent those decades quietly building something. A shadow empire stretching across Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Yemen, arming groups like Hezbollah and the Houthis. Not an army you could bomb on a map, a network. So, when the shooting finally started, what was the trigger? And why did Iran think it could survive a direct confrontation? The flashpoint didn't come from nowhere. A series of escalations, Iranian-backed drone strikes on US bases, then a bold retaliatory strike inside Iranian territory, pushed both sides past the point of plausible deniability. Iran's response was calculated. It didn't launch a full invasion. It launched a message, a coordinated barrage of ballistic missiles and drones aimed at US and Israeli installations. Over 300 projectiles in a single night. The world woke up expecting World War III. Instead, almost all of them were intercepted by Israel, the US, Jordan, even Saudi Arabia working together in real time. But here is what most people missed. Iran knew most of those missiles would be shot down. The attack wasn't about destruction. It was about demonstration, about showing the region and the world that Iran could reach anywhere, anytime. But if Iran wasn't trying to start a full war, what is it actually trying to achieve? The answer is more unsettling than you think. Here's what the headlines keep glossing over. This is not just Iran versus the US. This conflict has 5 dimensions happening simultaneously. Russia is quietly supplying Iran with advanced air defense systems, payback for Iranian drones used in Ukraine. China is buying Iranian oil at a discount, funding the regime and watching the West bleed. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia, historically Iran's arch-rival, is playing both sides. Back-channel diplomacy with Tehran while quietly sharing intelligence with Washington. And then there's Israel, operating on its own timeline entirely, conducting strikes inside Syria, Lebanon, and now Iranian soil. Not as part of a coalition, but as a lone actor willing to do what no one else will. Every single one of these players has a different endgame, and not one of them fully controls what happens next. So, what does the endgame actually look like? And who is the one variable that could flip this entire situation on its head? 3 scenarios are now on the table. Scenario 1, controlled escalation. Both sides keep striking. Neither wants full war. It becomes the new normal, a forever conflict fought in shadows. Scenario 2, miscalculation. One strike goes too far. A ship gets hit, a senior commander is killed, and suddenly no one can pull back. Scenario 3, and this is the one that keeps analysts up at night. Iran completes a nuclear device. Not necessarily to use it, but to hold it over every negotiating table from that day forward. The oil market already knows something is wrong. Shipping insurance through the Strait of Hormuz, which carries 20% of the world's oil, has tripled. What happens in that narrow stretch of water in the coming weeks could determine whether your gas prices double, whether supply chains break again, and whether the world order that has held since 1945 finally cracks. You now understand what most people watching the news don't. This isn't chaos. It's a chess game played by governments with long memories, deep grudges, and very high stakes. The only question left is who blinks first. If you want to understand what happens if they don't, hit subscribe. Because this story is far from over.